the game industry is in shambles. Seriously, it often takes 5 years and over $200 million to make one game. And that's usually because the studios focus on delivering uber-realistic graphics or gigantic worlds with too much to do in them. This is madness. It's unsustainable. Won't somebody, anybody, please save us from this digital hellscape? There he is. The hero of the hour. Astro Bot. Okay, I know it'll take a lot more than just one game to fix this industry's problems, but Astro Bot is a step in the right direction. This game does not flaunt any realistic graphics, nor does it brag about how big its world is. Do you see that mountain? You can't go to it. You're welcome. Astro Bot is simply a 3D platformer that focuses on one thing: fun. Oh, and the PlayStation brand. Yeah, this game feels like one giant PlayStation advertisement, which is ironic because you need a PlayStation 5 to play it anyway. It's like when you start a Blu-ray disc and you get a Blu-ray trailer before the movie starts. I already have a Blu-ray player, so why am I getting this ad? That said, Astro Bot's entire purpose was to be one with your PlayStation console, starting when the PS4 launched in 2013. If you bought one of these cameras to go with it, you could download the Playroom, which included some AR minigames, one of which had a bunch of little robots. Then when PlayStation VR launched, so did the Playroom VR, a much more extensive game with support for up to multiple players, and it also included those little robots. Team Asobi developed both of these free experiences, and the PSVR would be home to their first full-release Astro Bot rescue mission. Hey, those robots look familiar. Yes, they took those tiny little bots used for tech demonstration purposes and modified them to be part of a full-blown 3D VR platformer. While I haven't played this game, apparently I bought it. I found it in my PlayStation library, and I might have purchased it during a good sale, not knowing it was VR exclusive. Guess that one was on me. I sadly have no means to play it because I only own a PSVR 2, which is incompatible with PSVR titles because that would just make too much sense. God forbid they release a next-gen patch or something. Thankfully, Astro Bot's journey did not end on PlayStation VR, as Team Asobi then made the PS5 launch title Astro's Playroom. This was another 3D platformer, Sans VR, which showcased the PS5's technical prowess and the new DualSense controllers with their gyro and haptic feedback. It was a short but sweet experience that was fun and celebrated PlayStation's history. Oh, did I mention it was free? This is hands down one of the best pack-in titles for a game console ever, and many people like myself wanted Astro Bot to get his own full game. Which he did, that's what this video is about. Now, I would have come out with this sooner, but I was already in the middle of playing another game when Astro Bot came out, and I wanted to finish that first before jumping in. I also realized that in order to make a video about Astro Bot, I had to stop playing Astro Bot, and that is really hard to do. I had the stupidest grin on my face from the moment I saw the PS1 memory cards in the save menu that hit me right in the childhood. The story is about Astro Bot and his crew flying on their PS5 ship until they're stopped by some Rick and Morty ass alien who steals their CPU, causing them to crash land on a desert planet. Now Astro Bot has to find the PS5 parts scattered across the universe as well as his comrades to get that CPU back. That's the entire premise. You just get these few objectives and go planet hopping to rescue these lost robots, which are the key collectibles that progress the story. You don't need to collect every single one, just a certain amount to unlock the boss levels. But if you're like me, you'll try to find every bot in the first run, only to be met with the painful notification that you missed one. Then you'll restart the level to find it, maybe buying that bird that points out hidden collectibles. What's great is that you don't have to complete the level when you find what you're looking for. You can just leave and it'll count. As I get older, I appreciate games that respect my time, and Astro Bot certainly does that with mechanics like this. It's also not a very long game, taking me less than 10 hours to complete, but there's still so much content left that I'm going back for more when I stop talking. Did I stutter? Another thing I love about Astro Bot is that every collectible feels meaningful. There are the robots, sure, but some levels have portals that unlock more levels in a lost galaxy. There are also puzzle pieces that open buildings back at the crash site hub, such as a costume kiosk, a station that changes the color of the controller ship, and a gacha machine that takes coins to unlock outfits, paint jobs, and accessories for the hundreds of PlayStation-themed robots you find. Yeah, part of what makes these robots so fun to look for is the mystery of what game IP they'll be modeled after. There are the ones you'd expect like Kratos, Nathan Drake, and Joel, but most of these references cut deep, like this guy and this gal. Look, these references are so obscure, even I don't know who they are. Oh, look, there's Crash. Wait, isn't he owned by Activision Blizzard now? That's right, most of these characters aren't even owned by PlayStation, but they have storied histories on PlayStation consoles, like Resident Evil and Persona 5. Oh, it's my best friend Alan, he's playing the game too. How's it going, buddy?
Joey, they're actually doing it.
Doing what?
They did it. They actually did it.
Did what, boy? Speak sense!
Joey, they're bringing back Ape Escape, dude! Oh my god, I'm actually gonna faint.
Well, don't do that, it's just
They're bringing... Dude, turn on the TV, it doesn't matter what channel, they're doing
Alan,
it.
you know I don't have cable, I can't do that. Alright, just lay down, get a glass of Mike's Hard Lemonade, and wait for all this to blow over. Wait, what was that noise? Where are you? What happened? Alan, are you there? Alan? Alan! Yeah, a few of these PlayStation IP got their own levels in Astro Bot, and I'm only going to show you the first two because some of the later ones were genuinely surprising, and they play extremely similar to the games they're based on without completely discarding Astro's platforming style. On the surface, Astro Bot may seem like a giant PlayStation advertisement, but thanks to the amount of heart and soul put into this game, it's so much more than that. Each level oozes with charm and creativity, some of which equip Astro with special abilities, like chicken and doggy jetpacks, punch-out froggy arms, and a giant sponge. Who came up with this? It's fantastic. My absolute favorite level, however, was one where you had to shrink in certain areas to progress, and it was so cool how the world would change instantly upon getting small. My only complaint is that I only encountered one of these levels, but I have yet to 100% the game, so don't tell me if there are more. Of course, a 3D platformer has to feel fun to play, and Astro Bot features some of the best controls I've felt in the genre. Movement is snappy, responsive, and I rarely encountered any camera problems, if at all. The actions like punching feel impactful too, surely helped by the DualSense controller's haptic feedback, which can be turned off if you're not a fan of it constantly rumbling. Seriously, this thing rumbles with every step Astro takes, but I was never bothered by it because again, it just made everything feel more impactful. Ultimately, Astro Bot's biggest strength is that it's pure fun, and that's all it's trying to be. I love this game so much that I took every second of my free time playing it. Honestly, we need more games like this in the AAA space. I'm not specifically saying we need more 3D platformers, although that would be nice. I'm saying we need games that don't always try to break new ground in visuals, open worlds, or cinematics. Look at the AAA games industry right now. Most games take upwards of 5 or 6 years to make, sometimes longer, and for what? So we can see more pores on a realistic human face? In case you didn't know, it takes a long time to create something with this much graphical fidelity, and half the time it's not even worth it. For example, Hellblade 2 looks amazing, but it's mostly a walking simulator with absurdly simple gameplay that's only about 7 hours long, which is about an hour per year of development. Realistic graphics are only part of the issue, as games like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and Concord took way too long to come out while trying to chase the live service trend. Whatever happened to just making games fun? That's what Astro Bot does. It doesn't worry about graphical fidelity even though it looks beautiful in its own way, nor was it trying to chase dying trends. What's more is that it only took about 3 years to make, which is an extremely short amount of time in this day and age. And to think it still became the highest rated game of the year on Metacritic. makes you think developers and publishers are focusing on the wrong things. This doesn't apply to Team Asobi, as they went back to a genre that was once popular in the AAA space with a selection of 80 quality levels. That last part is important, as the game's creative director Nicolas Doucet said in an interview with BBC News that the team decided to go for a tightly polished 12 to 15 hour game instead of an expansive 40-hour world. Quote, "You can eat a lot of food at a buffet, or you can just go for that 2-course meal that is really going to be small and just the right amount, but this one is going to be memorable. So in fact, you can say you have more for your money with a buffet, but what's the last memory that you take away with you? It's probably to feel bloated and a bit like you've ate too much and you just want to go to sleep." As someone who's frequented Hometown Buffet a little too much as a child, I can agree with this. For a while, game studios were hell-bent on packing their games with as much content as humanly possible, sometimes bragging about how long it would take to beat. That might have excited me 10 or 15 years ago, but as an adult, it fills me with dread. I don't have time for a 100-hour-long open-world checklist fest. Just give me a linear experience that's like 20 hours max and we'll be good. I will say that I think the industry is starting to understand this, as I haven't noticed as many open-world games as there were last decade, when it seemed like every major game was hopping on that Skyrim trend. Of course, there are still plenty, just not as offensive of an amount. I really hope Astro Bot succeeds financially, because I want game studios to take notice. They don't need their games to have the most realistic graphics or gigantic open worlds to succeed. They simply need to be fun. And that's the word of the day, kids. Fun. Look, I'm aware that many problems in this industry will not be fixed by this one game. There are still layoffs happening what feel like every week simply due to corporate greed. Still, too much is being asked of these developers to make their games overly long and graphically intense to the point where if the companies don't meet their profit margins, they're just gonna lay off these employees entirely. Because God forbid their CEOs take a pay cut. In that sense, I'm glad a game like Astro Bot was made in this day and age by a AAA publisher like PlayStation. Of all companies, I'm proud of them for realizing that realistic cutting-edge graphics are not that important, and I can't wait to see what they do in the future after the success of this game.
PlayStation 5 Pro. We made the GPU much larger. The results can be pretty amazing.